Okay, so let's talk rule of nines a little bit. Now we talked when we did the, just when we talked about numbers, the rule of nines basically meant that if you have a unison, it will turn into an octave. If you have a second, seventh, a third, a sixth, a fourth, a fifth, and so on, a fifth to a fourth, a sixth to a third, a seventh to a second, so on and so forth. So the numbers always add up to a 9. But there's something else that you should learn also. A perfect quality will always stay perfect. They will never change on an inversion. However, your minors will turn into majors, and your diminished will turn into augmented, and vice versa when you do an inversion. So how can we use that interval to help? Well, I'm looking right here now, and I see a D sharp to a G, and that's freaking me out because I like learning them by key signatures, but now I got to think of the key signature of D sharp. Well, there is no key signature of D sharp. That's bugging me. I can use intervals to help me out. Let me show you how. Okay, well, let's go ahead and write this as an inversion. Okay, so I'm going to go my G right there. I'm going to put my D sharp up there. Okay, so now my inversion is going to be a fifth, and I know that G to D would be my perfect, right? But that's one ahead, so that's going to be an augmented fifth. That I can see a lot easier than that. However, that's not my answer. That's the inverted answer. So what would my normal one be? It would be a diminished fourth. And that would be my quick way of finding that one. You want another quick way? This isn't using inversions, but here's another cheat. Watch this. Boom and boom. Kind of like algebra. You know how you can do something to one side of the equation, you're allowed to do it to the other? Well, you can do that here also. Well, I don't like that D sharp. That bugs me. I could figure that out if it was D, but not a D sharp. What do? I'm just going to lower him a half step so he's a D natural, which I'm allowed to do as long as I lower this one as well. Okay, so now I lower them both a half step, and I'm going, okay, how do I do this one? So I'm going D to a G flat. Well, I know that's a fourth. D to a G, well, that would be my perfect fourth, but it's a half step lower, and on a perfect interval, a half step lower means diminished. So there's another way if you don't like thinking the D sharp, okay? Let's do another interval one. Let's give it a try. Ready? Okay, let's do this one. F flat to G. That's just blowing my mind a little bit. I don't really like that. So let's go ahead and do an inversion. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take that F flat and I'm going to move it up here. Boom. Now I'm just going to do the interval off of G because I know the key signature of G. The key signature of G is just an F sharp. Ooh, but I have an F flat. Okay, so first of all, what's the number? That's going to be a seventh. If you count it out, you'll see that. F sharp would make it major. So F natural would make it minor. So an F flat would make this a diminished seventh. Okay, so if that's a diminished seventh, what would the inversion be? And the answer is an augmented second using the rule of nines. Okay, let's just go over just some easy ones. We don't need to make them terribly hard. Let's just go A to C. Okay, so I know this one right here, just by knowing this is going to be a minor third. But what if I want to go like this and make my A up here? Well, that would just be a major 6. 6 and 3, the rule of nines, major to minor. You can see how that works. Okay, and again, the same thing works for fourths and fifths for the perfect intervals. So let's go C to G. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take that C and go up an octave and go here. And if you notice right here, I have a perfect fifth. But once I made it an inversion, it still stays perfect, but goes to a fourth. So if you ever get into some trouble and you're looking at intervals, again, a couple things you can do. One, you can do the inversion so you can find it and then use rule of nines to find out what the original was. Or what you can do is you can change both of the qualities. For example, this one, F flat to G, well, I could have made that gone up a half step and gone F to G sharp, and I would have found the same answer, okay? So those are just some tricks and tips to finding intervals. All right, that's how the rule of 9 works. I hope that helps you.